Inside the Game is live across your airwaves, Roku TV, YouTube, wherever you find Inside the Game here on the National Soccer Network. Nate Wangler joined alongside Ryan Glinsky. Ryan, I know we got a lot to get into on the show today. Looking forward to another good one. Of course, yesterday, the Horizon League tournament starting. Both you, me, and JT all in the same space. It's the first time since, I think, the NISA Pro Cup that all of us have been all in the same space all at once. Yeah, literally the final. In which I accidentally took the iPad home with me in my backpack. You're finally able to get that
back. Get it back to
for
like
a
last
while.
week.
A long time until I was able to meet up with him in Portage. But anyways, so it was the first time we were all together. Got to see that one. Obviously a tough finish for Oakland, but obviously nice to all be in the same room together. Obviously under a different umbrella with basketball than soccer, but wanted to start off the show here today. Last night, obviously we'll get into that Oakland game, but another big game that we got to talk about, and it's the generational run that we have over Canada right now, and it continues to get better. Last night, the She Believes Cup, U.S. women's national team, in a close battle with Canada, who I believe was number 10, I believe, in the world rankings, in the FIFA world rankings, ended up beating them 1-0 in that game. So another win for Emma Hayes. I believe still just has one loss on her resume since joining the U.S. women's national team. But I mean, you look at some of these numbers, and I mean, they were controlling it from the go. I mean, 16 shots to 5 for Canada, 4 on target, 1 for Canada. They only got 1 on target. They had 65% of the possession, 0 yellow cards, 0 cards in general, and 11 corners to go with that. So could have probably been a little bit more lopsided than that, but Ellie Sentnor with the lone goal in the 55th minute to win that one for the United States. And it just continues to get more and more entertaining. And I think Canadian fans are in a way starting to get a little desperate, because I saw a video from someone the other day, a guy talking about how they have the chance to do the coolest thing ever in the World Baseball Classic if they could advance to the knockout stage. And it was a stitched video of a guy just like laughing his ass off. He's like, dude, it's like, I don't know how many World Series titles or All-Star appearances we have in our lineup, just our starting lineup, but yeah, they gave it to the Giants the other day, and now Team USA is going to give it to freaking the Rockies today. I'm so excited to see what the hell they do. But anyways, Canada's down bad right now.
I just don't understand like their obsession with us. Like this is giving me like pure Michigan State little bro vibes. Like it really is. Yeah. Like they are so obsessed now with us. Like when you take the country's sport away, you're like taking their soul.
Yeah.
Like it's like if we robbed them of all of maple syrup. Like if we're being completely honest. Like, but we took their soul with the hockey with Jack Hughes. Then, I mean, it's not really a rivalry with the women's national team. I just saw they haven't beaten us since Tokyo Olympics. I don't know when that was, but whenever the Tokyo Olympics were, that's 2021. Then I think it was or 2020. It was during COVID. That was the last time they beat us, and Trinity Rodman was out there, so that was a good sign. But U.S. had 70% possession. Like that shit wasn't close. It wasn't close. So
like they're toying with teams right now. Like that's the thing about this team. They're toying with teams. I don't know why, but anyways, go.
Exactly. But like Canada is just so obsessed with us, man. Like I don't get it. Like, yeah, I get it because we own you, but like, you know, with everything that has gone on in the last like 2 years or so, and then you snatch their soul away, and then you beat them again in soccer. We'll probably beat you. Well, if we kind of have to like play each other in baseball first, we'll probably take care of that if that happens. Soccer, men's side, that's probably the closest thing you could get to us right now, but I still think they scored 1 goal in Qatar, so I don't really expect them to do anything. Like they got manhandled in Qatar, and I don't expect them to do anything this time around. The only thing they got is Jesse Marsh. That's the only thing that they have on us. And then outside, I would still take Potch over him. So they don't even have that either. If it was Berhalter, sure, I would say that. But we own them right now. And then basketball. Dude, basketball, they suck too because they didn't even make the semis. They were knocked out in the first round of Germany, I think. So, yeah man, like,
yeah.
Dude, they got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, It all started really in my mind. It all started with the whole 51st state and everything that was going on with that. And we don't get political on this show, but obviously I think a lot of that kind of plays into maybe why they don't like us, which is like it's not indicative of every single one of us. Like I'm just a normal dude, Ryan's just a normal dude. We're just, we don't have anything to do with that. I just think, with how much they hate all of us, the collective us, it's made this more entertaining. But I'll stretch this out a little bit further. I think it's been a generational run for just the U.S. in general in sports,
sports. Yeah,
especially
I'll say that.
in team sports. And you go back to the Summer Olympics. With that the basketball team that went. Obviously, the women won it. The women have won every single basketball tournament for I don't know how many years. I mean, they just dominate that thing. But yeah, for the men, like we're finally getting to that point now to where if we don't send the best of our best, like there's a very real chance we're not going to win that thing, and we wouldn't have against that French team. There's no way. So with Steph, I mean, just that video of hitting the golden dagger, I mean, as you mentioned, and in the French broadcast of them calling him the devil, I think
Yeah,
it was,
that was great.
it's the most, one of the most, is to feel what it's like to be a Golden State Warriors fan for just a day. Just a day. Well, really a whole tournament, but really for that day, that was the one game. For one game, I got to feel what it was like to be a Golden State Warriors fan. And that was so special to me. I was like, could you imagine if that guy was on your team? Could you imagine? I mean, that was the part to me that was the most special part about it.
I think the best part is like we got to see LeBron, Steph, KD, Joel Embiid, who was healthy somehow. Like Jason Tatum and Halliburton didn't play, but they were still on the team. Devin Booker, like there were some studs out there, man. Like to see, like we had what was it, like 4 or 5 straight years of Steph versus LeBron in the NBA Finals, and then we finally get to see them like play together. And LeBron's always said he's always wanted to play with Steph at least one time in his career. And the Olympics was special because they had a fighting claw for 2 of those games. Really good comeback, and Bogdanovic had to talk shit in the Serbia game, and then they lose. Like it wasn't close after that. And then like the French game, like there is just I will say this. I think the U.S. men's basketball team will always be at a disadvantage in terms of this. Like these national teams play together all the time. Like they've played together for 10 plus years or 5 plus. Like they've always played together. Whereas in the United States, you're always playing against, like, it's like we can bring the best team all the time, but at the same time, like, these guys have never really played with each other unless you're playing on the same NBA team or the same college team. Like, even in the AAU circuit, the high school circuit, you're always competing against these guys. And then when it gets to college, most likely you're competing against one another. And then you get to the NBA, you don't really have a choice about that. So, again, you're most likely competing. So it's like it takes a minute for these guys to gel in. But I mean, until the only way I think we get beat for the foreseeable future in basketball is if we don't send the best of the best. Like they're like, let's just take a summer off because I still think France is the only nation that will be able to compete with us from a decade to decade basis. We've argued about Serbia, but after Jokic is done, Serbia won't be anything because I look at the Gasols in Spain. They aren't anything anymore. You see after Manu left with Argentina, they're not anything anymore. Brazil's not anything anymore. Australia's not anything anymore. Like it's literally just going to be the US and France, and then there will be some random MVP from another nation that's going to pop up, but no, Serbia, I don't buy them,
they're never going to be
right.
as
generational run.
United.
Now, if the men's soccer team does something, the world might end. That's all I got to say.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So, I mean, it sets up both baseball and soccer for exciting opportunities. But yeah, you have Steph, and then obviously you have the both the gold medal overtime winners. And then obviously you have the She Believes Cup win for the U.S. women's national team, just one after another. I mean, it's been great to see. And so that's, I mean, I think it's it's been a generational run, to say the least, for U.S. again team sports. And even even you look at women's rugby and them getting the bronze medal first time in 100 years. So it's just, I think it's scary to the rest of the world to think about how the U.S. they really can figure out how to be the best at something if they really want to be, and sometimes
Yeah, it comes down to that.
As evidenced by women's hockey, women's soccer, even men's hockey too. Like money, time invested into player development and finding the best available players out there. It matters at the end of the day. So anyways, getting more into our soccer conversation. I know that we kind of started off talking about that. I wanted to mention that. That's obviously, it's something that I think we both thoroughly enjoyed over the recent years. But coming up next here on Inside the Game, Ben Pierman of the Charleston Battery will be joining us. Had a conversation, Ryan, you did with him yesterday, part of the USL Championship, as we continue our look around the USL Championship and talking to a lot of those different coaches. But any takeaways from that conversation yesterday? Pretty responsive, good talk between you two.
Yeah, it was great. I'll give my thoughts after the fact, because we got to listen to it first. I don't want to spoil anything. It was a really good conversation, and this guy just constantly reloads his team after losing key players year after year and assistant coaches year after year. So shout out to Ben Pierman. He's a stud. And he's Michigan. He's from Michigan, so
gotta love it. We always give the nod to Michigan guys for sure. Let's get into that. On the other side first. We'll tell you. Yep. You're always going to get my vote of confidence. FC Bayern Summer Soccer Camps, though, are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network. They foster football excellence across North America, open to boys and girls of all skill levels. FC Bayern Camps deliver elite training inspired by FC Bayern Munich's world-class philosophy. Select your city and start a promising soccer path. Right now, save $30 on registration using promo code BayernNSN30. Again, that's BayernNSN30. Scan the QR code on your screen. Learn more at FCBayernYouth.com.
Welcome back to the National Soccer Network. We have Charleston Battery head coach Ben Pierman. Ben, thank you for taking the time out of your day and joining us.
Thanks for having me.
First off, Coach, just want to congratulate you on your contract extension this offseason to stay with Charleston. What made you want to sign a multi-year extension and stay with the Charleston Battery?
Yeah, I mean, look, there wasn't much thought into it. It was probably something that was kind of done and dusted nearly a year ago, probably just the announcement time and all that stuff. So, I love working at the Charleston Battery. I love the team I get to work with. I love my bosses, the community, our supporters are tremendous. So it's really been a great fit for my wife and I and for our family, and we've really loved it. So, as long as they'll have me, I'd like being here.
And obviously, the season starts up here this weekend. Yeah, this weekend. What are you expected, or how are you feeling going into the season, and how have preseason been for you?
Preseason's been good. For me and my money, a little bit too long, just in regard to everybody wants to get back on the pitch and play games and fight and go for it. And then, And then in regard to the team and getting better, we're working hard. We're getting after it. One of the things definitely for us is we've got a lot of new players and 3 new coaches, so it's been a little bit different than the last 2 years. But we're excited. We've got a really, really strong group of hardworking fellas that want to get after it. And we're excited to get rolling for real.
Yeah, I saw you lost your right-hand man, Devin Rensing. We had his brother, Coach Damon Rensing, on the show with Michigan State when their season was going on back in the fall. And you just mentioned, that was going to kind of lead me into my next question is, if you lost a lot of guys, player-wise and coaches-wise, how do you kind of get these players and coaches to help buy into your standard and where you want this soccer team to be?
Yeah, look, I think you just have to be very clear with the expectations, in the recruitment process and in playing throughout. Players kind of know who we are and how we play and how we operate. So for us, it's just continue to be clear with everything that we do. Our work ethic, our desire, the ability to play the football that we want to play, but then also, making sure that we're enjoying things as well. So, for us, it's setting those standards early, letting the boys get after it, and then going and playing from there.
What are some of the attributes? I usually ask coaches what attributes they're kind of looking for as a player, but I've never asked what kind of attributes and that you're looking for in assistant coaches. What are you kind of looking for in your assistant coaches?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. It's tough. When players, you can kind of recruit 17, 18 guys for X amount of spots. For us in regard to the staff build, it's got to make sure we're hitting, all of the things that we want to accomplish, whether that's recruitment, whether that's game model, whether that's analytics, whether that's, obviously the other aspects like the performance, the goalkeeping, very specific things. So, we hired Coach Ian Cameron from Tormenta. We hired Rob Seaton from the College of Charleston, who's been great, and Pete Calabresi to run our whole medical and performance department. So we've been really able to bring in strong people with good experiences that want to represent the Charleston Battery and want to just help this team get better and better week in and week out.
And we've asked a couple of coaches already talk about how you kind of need like a deep team in the USL Championship. Do you feel that with the players that you lost and the players that you've gained in the preseason, do you feel like you have a pretty deep roster for the season?
Well, we've only got 4 subs for opening night, so I would say no, but that's a little bit goofy, right? We've got a player who's carrying a red card from last year. We have a player
that carries over.
Oh yeah.
I've never actually noted. I've never understood. I've always wondered. I was like, what if a player got a red card in like a World Cup and they get knocked out?
Yeah.
Does it carry over? So that carries over?
Oh yeah, definitely. So we got a red card in the playoffs last year, so we'll be without a player. We have one player whose visa is touch and go right now. He's here, he's training. We're just waiting for it to be finalized. A couple registrations for some late signings with some younger fellas. So, to answer your question, are we deep? Not right now, but I would also say that we're deep to already deal with, we've already had 2 players get surgery this year. We had a player, take a little knock in training today. These things happen. So you have to build a squad who can be ready, but we also don't want too many players. We want our players to be able to get after it and be themselves. So it's a tough balance right now. We're testing our depth. But what a better way to do it than against the defending champions at home on opening night.
It's a great test. Charleston's been to the playoffs last couple of years. How do you guys, when you get to the playoffs, how do you kind of take that, get over the hump, get into a final, win the whole thing? What's some of the steps that you guys are trying to take?
Look, that's the most difficult thing in American sports, right?
Yeah.
The last 2 years, if you look at Louisville City and the Charleston Battery, nobody's been close to Louisville except for us kind of in the regular season, and nobody's been close to us for that next spot. So from that regard, we've had great, tremendous seasons. And then in the playoffs, we've won a trophy. We've played in 3 finals, but we want the big trophy. We want to be the best in this league that it has to offer. In order to do that, you got to have some luck. You got to, have strong squads. You have to have a great regular season. You got to be, I would say, trending upward at the right time, which is kickoff in the first round game through the next 3 weekends. So it's tough. We build everything on our processes to do well week in, week out, get better, get better, get better. But sometimes, like last year, we played in a playoff match, played a good game. No bones about it. We were dominant. We played a good game. We did everything we could to be ready to win. And we fell 0-0 after penalties, and we were right there throughout the 90 minutes, and it just didn't go our way. So that stuff happens. You just want to have it not happen. You want to be the team that's putting yourself in a position to gain the advancement throughout each and every moment throughout the playoffs. So it's tough. We got to make sure, like you said, build a strong team, get better, and better every week. And then hopefully if we're in the playoffs, we're hosting. If we're hosting, can we be a top seed? Just whatever those moments are to be right in and around it come October, November.
Well, so a couple of years ago is when I finally figured out about the USL Championship, and I went to a DCFC game, watched Louisville City, and was really impressed by him. And then one of my former club teammates, when I was like 12 or 13, plays for Sporting Kansas City. Played Louisville like when he was like on the younger teams or like the second team. Said they were so tough. What makes Louisville City such a tough team to play all the time?
Yeah, I mean, fair credit to the club in general. In my opinion, they're the trendsetter. They're the kind of tastemaker of the league. Whether it's, yes, they have a good budget and can sign players, but a lot of teams have good budgets. They recruit the right players. They have a clear identity from the owner and the chairman and their president all the way down to Danny as the director and coach through his players, and it carries through to the academy. And they're just so efficient. Everything they do is done well. And there's a lot of clubs in the league that have done that, Charleston Battery being one of them. Rhode Island's come in and done well. So there's a lot of different ways to play football. There's a lot of different ways to run a club. I think if the clarity is there for the expectations, then getting good people in and around the club, coaches, players, etc., makes it take off. So, there's been a few clubs that have done it well. And I think as we continue to grow this league and make everybody better and better, this league gets stronger. The more and more clubs, the stadiums, just everything continues to take off and go through the roof.
Is there any player that for your team, Charleston, is there any player that maybe not a lot of people know about coming into this season that you're really high on and can make some noise this year?
It's a tough one because we're still figuring everything out and who we are. For me, there's players like Graham Smith, who was Defender of the Year. We signed Sean Suber, who was runner-up Defender of the Year last year in Pittsburgh. Jeremy Kelly is a very, very good footballer, one of the best soccer players in the league. We play him on the wing as an attacking mid winger. His profile and his position are always uncertain. He's just a really good freaking soccer player. So for me and my money, I think he'll be a guy that's there in and around all season, being a go-to player. But what's exciting about our club and our team right now is we have a bunch of honest players that are talented, that work hard, that want to get better every single day, and that allows the team to improve. That allows them to be the best versions of themselves. So, last year we had a quarter of the league's all league players, and none of them are back, and it's time for somebody else to step up, and they will. We've done it every year. Our first year we sold Fidel Barajas. We lost Derek Dotson. We lose, quote, our best player every single year, Nick Marcanic. We've made over $1.5 million in sales and all this stuff. So that happens in football. We're excited. It's part of the job that we get excited about, and we've got some really good, strong returners. We've got some really key incoming pieces, and we'll probably add some more throughout the season. So we're excited. We're ready to get going in a real match. And like I said, who better to play against than the champions?
You kind of seem like your roster every year is like a college football mid-major team or a college basketball mid-major team. You lose guys, you constantly replenish. You guys seem to reload, not rebuild. How are you guys able to reload every single year, kind of bringing in new guys every single time and constantly produce, all league players every single year?
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of frame to ask the question, because in football and in business and in sport and in life, consistency breeds success. So we try to, number one, I think making sure we, even though we lost a lot of guys last year, we made sure we maintained a really strong core of players. You know, Joey Ekpenonu, Graham Smith center backs, Douglas and Langston fullbacks, Nanan Husu, Emilio Kaza in midfield. I mentioned Jeremy Kelly. We had to sign a lot of new attacking pieces, but if we have those players in the core returning and in two strong goalkeepers coming back, adding players in, like you said, we can reload versus rebuild. They can step in and hit the ground running. So the second piece to that is making sure that we're very clear in the players that we want to recruit. I like players that I've worked with. I like players that are new. I like players that I see around the league, college players. We do majority of our recruitment from North America, but we're also willing to take risks on the right people. So, I think if we coach the right way and we're clear and we treat players with respect and put them in positions to go work hard, then usually they tend to succeed.
You've kind of coached, everywhere, even assistant at Michigan State, DCFC, which was DCFC and PSL when you were there? They were?
Yes.
So then obviously all the way up to the USL Championship. Like, what are some of the did you learn something from every stop? What are some of the mentors that you had along the way to help be the coach that you are now?
Yeah, I mean, look, it goes back to, I played at Michigan State for Joe Baum and Damon Rensing. My first ever job was as the assistant coach at Western Michigan for Stu Riddle, and then 2 years later went back to Michigan State with Damon to be the assistant, and was fortunate enough to also coach Detroit City for 6 years during that same time, and then in 2019 took a jump to Memphis 901 FC in the USL Championship in the second tier as the assistant. And then from there have been as the head coach. So definitely always have to learn. I learn every single day. You always have to make sure you're getting better. If you're not getting better, you're going to get passed. And then the second thing is just sticking true to who we are. We could play a variety of different ways. We just want to make sure that players understand the principles. They want to understand the non-negotiables. And then just really willing to learn week in and week out on the job. And that's what it is about constantly trying to get better.
Since you've coached and been in part of soccer, playing or coaching for such a long time, in what ways have you seen the game of soccer grow here in America?
Yeah, I mean, look, I went to the World Cup in 1994. I was 8 years old. That was a big Yeah, all four games in the Pontiac Silverdome, just down the street from where I grew up. It was awesome. It was exciting. Watched USA Switzerland, saw Brazil play, saw Georgie Haji play, one of my favorites. And it was incredible, and that helped kind of launch MLS, and the A League was going on, and you look at leagues like NASL and USL that have grown and grown. So number one, I would say the recognition of how massive this sport is. And the it used to be like, oh, I didn't play soccer growing up, but my kids do, or oh, soccer wasn't that popular.
Yeah,
soccer's popular. It's here. It's here. It's here at all levels, from Major League Soccer to USL Championship through to college soccer and in multiple professional divisions, all the way through to the youth setup. So that education piece is there, and the experience is there. Now people who grew up loving soccer, their kids are playing soccer and about to be their kids' kids. And then the second thing, obviously is the resources, the stadiums being built, the amount of money going in. I think people looked at it, instead of just being an entertainment, it is a business. They can sell players, they can develop, they can put money into their academy. There's 100 different ways to run a football club. But there's also what I think might be a little bit different, and I'm probably biased being in the sport, is I believe there's so much community with football, that with our sport.
Yeah, I agree.
The diversity and the eclecticness of who's playing and in the backgrounds, it's something that ties things together. And that's not just in America. That's not just in Charleston or Detroit or whatever these cities are. It's all over the world. So it's something when you take the experiences over the last 30, 40 years in America, soccer's gone from, oh, it's a pretty cool sport for kids and this to it's a massive, massive deal professionally in all the levels. The resources that are being pushed in, and MLS and USL and college and in all over the game and the youth level. And then, like we said, the business behind it as well of developing young American players. You look at what's going on, and I think they're talking about like 100 days or so from now, we're going to kick off the World Cup. Those are big deals. So I think if we can continue to push the game, we can continue to keep high standards, we can continue to allow players to play, and fans want to buy tickets and pay the fees to watch on TV, then they'll get a good product on the pitch. And that's our job, to make sure we're getting better and providing the entertainment value as well, in addition to the community sense.
We had Alexi Lalas on the show a couple weeks ago. We were talking about the 94 World Cup with him. He mentioned the Silverdome. He said that was the hottest game he's ever played in. Do you recall it being really hot inside the Silverdome in the summer?
Definitely hot. I don't remember it being as hot as that. You play in Charleston in the middle of August. Yeah. It's unbearable. What I do remember, when we scored that free kick, I believe, to make it 1-1 against Switzerland, it was the loudest moment of my life. Really? I was 8 years old, so I didn't know which way was up and down and all this, but it was so loud. You're in the dome with over 80,000 people there shouting, going nuts. It was cool. It was awesome. You knew then that soccer was here. Soccer was going to continue to latch on. So it was cool. It was awesome. We got out of the group. We went and played, we beat Colombia. We went and played Brazil and got knocked out in a tight game, and we played them as tough as anybody who won the World Cup that year. So, hopefully our nation can keep getting better and better, and hopefully we can do amazing things this summer and in front of the world that's watching.
I want to ask you a Michigan-related soccer question here. You played a lot here in the state of Michigan. How great is the state of Michigan in your eyes, do you think, that compared to the rest of the country, how great do you think the state of Michigan is in soccer?
I think that the state of Michigan, in regard to youth soccer and youth development, is one of the best in the country. And there's no MLS team in Major League Soccer. And you go look at all the MLS academies and second teams and the players signing homegrown contracts, there's 2 or 3 or 4 players on every MLS team. So these MLS teams have gone in there, and we've done it as well. We signed Colton Swan from Ann Arbor, beat some MLS teams, and he's been in the U20s with the Nash team. So, there's so many good players there. And then you look at what's the best university in the entire world, Michigan State University, and Coach Damon does such a tremendous job there. I do have to give, a shout out to some of the other schools like University of Michigan. They're trash, and I dislike them, and I hate them, but they're good. Coach Shaka does an incredible job, but they're still trash, but he's a very good person, does a good job. Coach Wiseman at Western Michigan University, and then some of the other schools like Indiana and Notre Dame, who've been powerhouses with Michigan State as well, go in there and pick off the players. So when you look at the college game and part of that professional pathway and development, they got to compete with the professional teams in MLS and in USL, but they also got to compete with each other. So you've got big cities, LA, New York, Chicago kind of usually are the big highlights. For me, Dallas does an incredible job. Southern California is incredible. But Southeast Michigan, and you link across the state into Grand Rapids and through that area, so much talent and ability. For me, I'm proud of it. My father back in the late 70s was a big advocate of starting the Bonanza Soccer League, if anybody around knows what that even is. And getting that going, and really, you just look at the talent and ability; it's through the roof these days.
Yeah, I'm a Central Michigan guy, but even I got to give credit to Western Michigan. Their soccer program is very good. 2 of my high school teammates played on it. All right, Coach. Final question. Typically, I ask all the USL Championship coaches favorite World Cup moment. However, you're from the state of Michigan, so I know you have good taste. I know you do. We just have good music taste here in the state of Michigan. If you could go see any band or artist, dead or alive, who would you go see and why?
Eminem.
Okay, that's good.
Out.
That's good.
If I couldn't pick him, probably number 2 would be Adele. Also, from being from Detroit, Michigan, Jack White, the White Stripes would be cool as well.
Okay. I like
those would
Jack
be my 3. Yeah, those would be my 3.
What'd you think of the Thanksgiving show? It's pretty good, right?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
You didn't see it?
What was it? A NFL game?
Jack White did it. Dude, you gotta watch it. I forgot. It was Jack White and Eminem. They did together.
Oh, yeah. For the Lions game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, yeah. No, it was good. I was kind of doing family time with my nieces and nephew, but Eminem, Jack White, they're top. They're top. And, as much soccer talent there is in Southeast Michigan, there's even more music talent.
Exactly. Exactly. I like to say that was the highlight of the whole Lions season this year.
Yeah.
That halftime show. The Temptations are my group. That's like my favorite band of all time. Big Motown
Classic.
guy.
Good.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Thank you for spending the time with me today. Congratulations on your new contract, and good luck the rest of the season. Hope to talk to you soon.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Coach Pearman of Charleston Battery, everyone.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Back in live on Inside the Game here, episode 243 on the National Soccer Network. Ryan, have you seen Dumb and Dumber?
Yes.
When Jim Carrey's character rolls up with the little moped thing after they get stranded in the middle of, what was it, Nebraska or wherever they were, and Jeff Daniels' character goes, you totally redeemed yourself. You go out there and totally redeem yourself. I feel like in listening to that interview, he totally redeemed himself, because at first he says, University of Michigan, he's like, they're all trash over there. Great, but they're all trash. Hate them, And then he turns around and he's like, but Eminem, that's the concert I would go see. And I'm like, this guy, all right. He turned around and totally redeemed himself.
But I was like, it already happened, so I mean,
That's true.
Eminem,
That's
Jack
true.
White. I said that was the highlight of the Lions season. That halftime performance. That was the highlight. They sucked.
It was. Yeah. And Eminem, I mean, I feel like he shows up more to Lions games than any other professional game in Detroit. Like, you'll see him at like a Tigers game once in a blue moon, or like a Pistons game once in a blue moon. But like, for the most part, like he's at a lot of the Lions stuff. So I've never gotten the chance to see him live, but I mean, I would definitely kill to see him live, just because he's another one of those that he's a good performer, but just from a lyrics perspective, he's just, I don't know. He's one of my faves for sure. He's certainly up there.
Yeah.
But moving on here in hour number one of our show, getting a little bit into the international scene. We have some midfield news as it comes to the U.S. men's national team. A lot to report on there. Ryan, I'll let you kind of set up the story as to what you're seeing there. I know we wanted to talk a little bit about Weston McKennie, obviously getting that major contract extension, one of the untouchables for Juventus. But there's some other news when it comes to the midfield. So wherever you want to start, go ahead.
Yeah, this is about the former midfield three that we thought was going to be a staple of this men's national team for a decade, it felt like. But one has kind of fell by the wayside here. And yesterday, which one thing that kind of, during the interview with Ben Pearman was this update came while the interview was going on. And Tyler Adams currently being eyed for a move to Liverpool, Manchester United, and Chelsea.
Wow.
What do I have to say about this? Avoid Manchester United and Chelsea at all times. Why? Because they're just toxic clubs, and I'd rather you stay at Bournemouth than play in week in, week out, because the manager loves you over there. Shout out to Basque Country in Spain. It's another Basque manager, just like Arteta. But that just stay away from Chelsea and Man United, man. Like Ruben Amorim literally came out yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever it was, and was literally bashing them for Man United for not being backed and all this and all that. Like, look at Manchester United. Yes, Carrick finally lost his first game yesterday. It's been an unbeaten run, but this is the endless cycle of insanity that I've said about Manchester United. They get the new manager bump. It lasts like 2 months, but then it just wears off because the same people are in charge. It's the same system, it's the same owners, it's the same sporting directors, it's the same head of recruitment, it's the same recruitment and scouts. It's the same thing. So please, Tyler, do not go there. Please. And then you look over at Chelsea. It's kind of the same thing that Chelsea's been doing since I would say Abramovich has left. They've also been in an endless cycle of insanity. And you already have Moises Caicedo, who they're going to start regardless in your position every single time. So, Tyler, please don't go there either. They're just going to buy a boatload of midfielders. Please don't go there. Gosh, Tyler, I really hope he's got his head on right. I really hope he doesn't go there. Liverpool, on the other hand, so you got Szoboszlai, you got McAllister. No, please don't go there. It's the best option of the three. So I guess if you were to go one, go to Liverpool. But out of all these options that I said, avoid Man United, avoid Chelsea for the reasons I said, and go to a Liverpool. But to be honest with you, Tyler, just stay with Bournemouth. You play in week in, week out. And this is the thing that I kind of have like, yes, we want our guys to play in the best teams. Like, we would love to have Christian Pulisic play for Los Blancos or Barcelona or a Man City. Like, we'd love that. But at the same time, you may not develop as well at those clubs unless you're a superstar like a Kylian Mbappe or a Lamine Yamal. But stay at a lower club in the top flight. You're constantly playing in. You're constantly playing week in, week out. You're constantly playing against the best. You're constantly getting playing time. And that's what we need. We don't need these players to go to the best teams, maybe play here and there, maybe get a game in, maybe play in a cup game. But you know what? Just play. As long as you're playing in the league, because Bournemouth's not going to get relegated. They're going to be there next year. They've constantly shown that they can stay up. They've constantly shown that, you know what, we can develop some talents and then sell them off like we did with Semenyo in January. So just stay there, Tyler. The manager loves you. You're a constant starter. And when you weren't playing for them, when you were hurt, Bournemouth started to suck a little bit. Their European hope started to dwindle. And because you weren't there. I'm kind of gaslighting that situation because there's other reasons. But Tyler Adams, please just make the right decision. I would just stay at Bournemouth, if I'm being completely honest. I would love for him to be at a Liverpool, but I just want to make sure that these guys are playing every single time. And that's the first update of the midfield.
Yeah, I mean, I think any move that's going to kill his confidence is not the move that he should make. And so I think, it's the question of you want to chase, obviously, the brand. Being a part of a brand like that would be awesome. Any one of those brands, maybe not Man United because of the reputation that they carry that you've talked so eloquently about for this whole time. But I think any move to where he's not consistently playing as much, he's not on the field as much, and he's not able to build his confidence more and more, I think is going to take away from his experience, especially a Tyler Adams, who has just not been as Tyler Adams lately, I guess, as we would expect to see, simply because he did have those injury issues and now he's back and, he is playing consistently. So, it's always that question of, there's more money on the table. It's a bigger brand, sure. But what does that do for you in the long run, in terms of confidence, in terms of everything else? I mean, I think my concern going up to the World Cup is that I want him to be playing every day. I want all these guys to be playing every day. I don't want them to go through stretches where they're not playing, or maybe they're behind someone, or they're getting limited minutes. Like, that doesn't do a lot to build the confidence and build their physical strength and build their stamina and everything else we need for them to have going into the World Cup as a U.S. men's national team fan. But I think more than that, to your point, Ryan, it's always the question of, moving up is always the goal. But if you're moving up and you're not getting quality reps, if you're moving up and you're not a key contributor, or you're not, in your position, there's a question mark as to whether or not you're going to be in that starting 11. I don't know why, money talks, and that's just the reality of it. Money talks and the brand talks. And so sometimes you're going to get people to make commitments simply because of that. But no, I think you're right. I think any move that kills confidence for any of these players, especially leading into the World Cup, is not the way to go. I think of the three, as you mentioned, I think probably Liverpool would be the best option. I think, we've seen some of the drama that goes on at Chelsea. Obviously, we've had an American there. We talked about Christian Pulisic yesterday was at Chelsea. And, Man United as well. Obviously it almost has, Ryan, it almost has like a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while type thing. Like even the worst of organizations can still go on a run once in a while and still get a few wins. But does that mean that they can create long-term success that will lead them back to where they once were? No, I don't think Man United will really ever get back to that point. I don't never say never, but I don't really see it happening. But it is, any move that kills confidence would not be the move right now.
All right, I may have been wrong here. I just looked at the rosters of all three sides. We're going to start with Manchester United. We're going to do this really quickly. Mount, different position. Fernandes, different position. Casemiro, too old and trash. Mainu, I would take Tyler Adams, but he's probably going to be sold. Or Mainu's probably going to be sold anyway. Ugarte, trash. I don't even know who any of those guys are. So, to be honest with you, he might start for Manchester United. Wouldn't be surprised. Chelsea on the other side. Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo. No, I don't think he gets in over them. Caicedo just, to be fair, he probably play a lot because Caicedo gets red cards all the time. Lavia, that's where he went. Gosh, different position. Liverpool, yeah, this is where I got wrong. I forgot about Gravenberch. I forgot about him. He's a stud. So he'd be competing with Wirtz, different position. Endo, old. Szoboszlai, different position. McAllister, a little bit different. Gravenberch, Curtis Jones. No, I don't think he starts for Liverpool. I don't think he starts for Chelsea. But if I'm Tyler Adams, I think I'm going to retract my statement. I think Man United might be the best spot for him if he were to move to one of these three sides. Yes, you're going to get a whole bunch of drama, 100%. But if you're Tyler Adams, Manchester United is the best spot because I think you're going to start. Casemiro's is going to be on the way out. If he's still there, he's still trash, and I don't think he's going to play. Mainu might be on the way out. I think Tyler Adams would actually boss it in the midfield, actually, for them. But it's the thing that worries me about that is all the distractions, obviously, all the sidebars and all that fun stuff. But I look at Chelsea, he's not starting over Caicedo. I look at Liverpool, he's not starting over Curtis Jones or Ryan Gravenberch. So I think Manchester United ultimately is the best spot for Tyler Adams, and I hate to say that. I don't want that to happen. But I think the best option still is just to remain at Bournemouth. But if he were to move to a bigger club, it's got to be Manchester United. That's just what I'm thinking here.
So, I mean, would you still, because if obviously he'll have a chance to play and he'll have a chance to star on this team with, I'm sure the role that they would give him, would you still make that move despite the distractions, the organizational distractions? I mean, let me put you in his shoes here really quick. I mean, you're weighing your choices.
So, again, I think United's probably going to be in Europe next year. Yeah. So they're in third right now, 51. Aston Villa's tied at 51. Chelsea's at 48. Liverpool's at 48. So United's most likely going to be in Europe next year. So that might be a big factor in it. Liverpool's going to most likely be Liverpool might not actually be in Europe. I retract that statement. Maybe Chelsea not, depending on what the other teams do. But I think out of these three teams, Manchester United is the most guaranteed to have European football next season. Bournemouth's in 9th. You're kind of on the outside looking in maybe to make Europe. You could still maybe get there because of the point difference and the way that some teams might win certain cups, like Arsenal and Man City. One of them has to win the Carabao Cup. That adds another spot to Europe next year because they're already going to be qualified for the Champions League. I would still say Manchester United's the best spot for him. I really do. But if I'm looking, if I were in his shoes, you are still going to an historic club, historically good. Let's not say the last recent 15 years.
Yep.
Then I would say, yeah, I think I'd still do it. It's Manchester United. I know it's crazy and you're going to get all this and all that, but gosh, but at the same time, I don't because all the players say they just play for money and they don't really care. I still think Bournemouth is the best option, but to answer your question, figure out what Bournemouth and Manchester United do in terms of where they're playing next season. In Europe, they're both going to be in the Premier League, so that's not a question. But let's see where they're at in terms of that. Let's see how maybe some of the Manchester United recruitment goes. Let's see who their manager is first off, because I don't know who the manager is going to be. some people think it. Some people are starting to say, you know, it should be Michael Carrick, but Carrick still doesn't want the job. And to be honest with you, I don't hate on him for doing that. But let's figure out who the manager is first. Let's figure out where they're all playing. Make a decision that way. But if they're both in Europe, because Man United would most likely be in the Champions League, Bournemouth would probably be in like Conference League, something like that. I think I'd still lean Man United. I think I would. I know all the distractions. I know being a little bit of a hypocrite, but I'd still go with Man United.
It's still a big brand. Like regardless of the history of choking that they've had, I mean, it's still a big brand, and so you give yourself that opportunity with a brand like that to play in that position. I mean, I get the distractions, I get the organizational stuff, but you know, I wouldn't say it's the worst of decisions. Let's talk about Weston McKennie here really quick before we cut to break. I know we got to get to break here at the 10 o'clock hour. We're going to continue our.
Yunus Musa any love?
Well, hold on, we got a few more to get to. We'll get to Musa too. Scored a couple of goals for Derby. But who do you want to start with? You can start with either or.
Let's go with McKennie to last the longest. I mean, from this guy to being sold to let's not renew his contract to now being an untouchable now, one of the 6 untouchables on this Juventus side. I mean, Spalletti is just, I don't know, he just changed his mind. All of a sudden, he's like a female out there, changes his mind every 2 seconds. But no, it just shows that this kid is, and he's gotten some high praise this week from a couple of really good, you know, some good footballers back and that played in Italy, played in Serie A, all that fun stuff. Weston McKennie, he's like, I don't want to say he's hated or anything, but like it feels sometimes McKennie's kind of just in the background a lot because of, you know, everyone kind of wants to see Christian Pulisic more. I think Pulisic obviously is the star. Everyone pays at him, but McKennie, he's a stud, man. Like this kid's really good. Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to say I don't like saying kid because he's like 25 or 26 now. I don't want to keep saying I think he's 27 actually. I don't want to keep saying that. But this guy,
kid a lot.
This guy is a stud. This guy is a stud and he constantly shows it every single time. And whenever it seems like, man, he's going to be out the door, he's going to be sold to this, the new manager comes in, and it's almost like Manchester United, but McKennie's kind of like Bruno Fernandes over there. He's still not the same impact, but, you know, new manager constantly comes in. Does he want to sell? Is Bruno going to leave? Is Weston going to leave? This and that. All of a sudden, new manager comes in, and they're after like a little bit, they're like, man, I can't sell this guy. This guy's insane. We need him still. And then McKennie constantly fights for his spot. They're giving him contract extensions when they said they weren't going to do that. And then he delivers time and time again in the Champions League. I mean, this guy started the first leg in the Champions League when they lost. He started at striker. And then in the second leg, he started at left back. So this guy is literally Zach McKinstry. He's a utility guy. He's all over the place. He can play a variety of different positions. Do I think he plays a striker for the men's national team? No way in hell does he do that. But
no,
maybe Poch is like, maybe late in the game we need to change something up. Maybe you come in the game or maybe we move you around. Maybe you play left back a little bit. But no, this guy shows up every single day for Juventus, and this is a club that has had so many issues since 2015 with scandals, with financial fair play, and being deducted stuff and being banned on stuff. So this guy just constantly shows up for him, delivers, and it's great to see that he's finally getting some of that love from Juventus and from the manager and the fans, and he's helping ultimately break this US what's the word I'm looking for? Not saying stereotype, but like proving that Americans belong.
Yeah. Yep. No, there's a difference between being a really good player and being someone that the club respects and being untouchable. If you're someone that, you know, you don't, you know, it's almost like a keeper league in fantasy, right? Like I got my 5 guys that you absolutely cannot touch. Everybody else, whatever. To put yourself in that space after, again, what feels like battling year after year to just make sure that you can stay on the club, just goes to show how good of a year he's had. And I guess if we're going to, you know, hand out awards for who's had the best club season of any U.S. men's national team player, obviously I think number 1 is Christian Pulisic, but right behind him, number 2 is Weston McKennie. And again, we talk about a Batman and a Robin. You know, who's going to be the Robin for Christian Pulisic? You know, that was always our thing. You know, when he comes back to the U.S. men's national team, he's not surrounded by nearly as much talent. He's not surrounded by nearly as much, you know, nearly as many options, you know, but Weston McKennie could absolutely be that. And he has emerged as that kind of, that 1-2 punch with Christian Pulisic. So he can be the Robin to Pulisic's Batman. And so what does that look like when it comes to the international windows? Obviously, he's yet to be seen, but I still remember, hearing a lot of different, Taylor, I think it was Taylor Twellman specifically who said this, but he goes, a healthy and motivated Weston McKennie is a dangerous Weston McKennie. And that's what he's been. He's been healthy, he's been motivated, and he's been dangerous. So it's been awesome to see. I just hope he can be, I hope he can be that Robin to Pulisic's Batman. I think that would be a fun thing to see in the World Cup and obviously leading up to it. But lastly, we want to touch on Yunus Musa a little bit too. He's been scoring some goals lately.
Yeah, he scored 2 goals in 2 games for Atalanta. I think he's on loan still from AC Milan. I forget that he's on loan from AC Milan, but this is a guy that we look back at 2022, really from 2021 to that whole World Cup cycle. Well, really in 2020, everyone was like, well, is Musa going to be on the team? Is Yunus even going to make it? Or is Yunus even going to be an American? Because, he could potentially play for England. And ultimately he chooses the USA, which I thought was a great marketing tool from the U.S. men's national team. Was you can't spell USA without Musa. Or you can't spell Musa without USA, rather. Which
That's
is true.
funny.
Yeah, Musah. Really good stuff. And I thought, like, man, we might have our midfield 3 for a decade plus. Musa, Adams, McKennie.
Yeah.
And it just shows that, not all the potential things work all the time in everyone's favor, because you think about it, Musa hasn't been in the U.S. men's national team picture for a little bit, at least since the World Cup. And I still think he's a good player, but Pochettino doesn't truly rate him, I guess. Doesn't really think it'd be a good fit. But, I would like to obviously see Musa called up in March just one last time, but I don't think that's realistic. But, spotlighting a guy that, is playing well in a Serie A. I mean, I know he didn't score his first Italian goal until the last game, but 2 goals right now for him. Hopefully boosts his confidence a little bit. Hopefully he can finish off the club season strong, and maybe he makes a run at it in the 2028, whether that's a Copa America or Gold Cup or the 2030 World Cup. But I think this is just shows that it's a good problem for the U.S. men's national team. This is just showing our depth. It's showing our growth as a country in the game of soccer. That we're not going to bring a guy that is valued around 15-20 million that's playing in Serie A, and we're not going to bring him on the team. Like, that just shows our growth and our depth as a country. And then you think of another guy like Johnny Cardoso, who's playing at Atletico Madrid. Yeah, we're not going to bring him either. So just shows that our depth is continuing to grow, as a nation, with our players playing overseas. And for all the people that are like pissed off, that's like, oh, well, they're overseas, they don't play a ton. Well, it's still American players that are helping prove our case that Americans can play over here and continue to dominate. And Musa, I would love for him to be on the roster. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but I would like to see him get a shot in March, but I just don't think that's realistic.
I think sometimes we get caught up in the comparisons between us and the rest of the world, when really the comparisons that we should be making is us and us. Where have we gone in the last 30 years? Where have we gone? We're talking about 100 days until the World Cup. Well, let's talk about 32 years since the last World Cup. How far have we come in the last 32 years? Extremely far. And
even from 2022 to now, we've come far.
Yeah. Yep, a lot more seasoning, more veteran experience.
Because Pulisic was the only one that was playing a ton. Everyone else was kind of just like Adams was finding his footing, McKennie was finding his footing, and look at him now.
Yep. They were young and scrappy, but again, now it's like, again, you'd be amazed what 4 years can do for you. And so I think that was a big part of our talk, and it has been around this U.S. men's national team. Like 22, we saw the foundation. 26 is where it's really going to matter the most. Obviously the biggest thing is it's not Greg Berhalter leading and it's Mauricio Pochettino now, but the truth is that everybody has more seasoning. And so hopefully that matters in the long run.
Let's hope there's no sidebars with Greg Berhalter or with Pochettino or Gio Reyna in this upcoming World Cup. That'd be really nice, guys.
Yeah, no more drama. But we'll step aside here. When we come back, we're going to continue the soccer conversation. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about here today. We're going to chat about Pellegrino Matarazzo, the first American manager to have a team in the top 5 European league in a cup final. Real Sociedad ended up defeating their rivals Athletic Club to reach the Copa del Rey. We're also going to chat a little bit about Arsenal. Our good friend Ryan, we know he's a diehard fan of Arsenal. Is the hope real, or is hope going to kill them at the end of the day? Yeah. Hey, nice. I like what you did there. Barca Academy, though, they're a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, the official academy of FC Barcelona in the United States. Designed for boys and girls ages 6 to 18, Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model. Same philosophy used by Barca's professional coaching staff. And right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code FCB30. Again, that's FCB30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you at fcbarcelona.us/camps.
In Barca camp, I see my son grown on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up now for Barca camp.
Inside the Game rolls along here on the National Soccer Network, whether you're watching us today on Roku or live on YouTube. Again, there are different ways you can watch this show every single day. Make sure you give us a follow on social media at Inside the Game, or at National Soccer Network, rather, not Inside the Game, at National Soccer Network, and also Sports Nation TV for our all sports content. There's a lot of names to remember, but let's continue our conversation here in hour two. I know this is normally our all sports section, but we got a lot of different topics we're covering today. Pellegrino Matarazzo, first American manager ever to bring a team in the top 5 leagues in the world to a cup final. Real Sociedad with a win yesterday to get to that point. And just another milestone for Pellegrino Matarazzo. I feel like we have been tracking his coaching tenor over there very closely. We've been talking a lot about his accomplishments. We've actually been a little amazed that the American media has not really picked up on this nearly as much, or has been talking about this nearly as much. I think it's because, we're all kind of wrapped up in what's going to happen just under 100 days from now, which is the World Cup, which is obviously the most pressing thing
98
on Americans' fans' minds. But yeah, amazing to see what Pellegrino Matarazzo has been able to do.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. 13 games. He's only had 1 loss, and he's beaten some impressive sides. Barcelona's in there. Real Madrid's in there. I think they lost to Atletico, but now they have a chance to redeem themselves. But no, this is something that, again, shows our growth. Constantly beats Americans can't have the game of soccer. No, we're not only doing it from the managerial front, and we're not only doing it from a player front. And this is just proving to the rest of the world that Americans can do a really good job. Now, we can go back to Matarazzo. I mean, he took over a side where he didn't even have a January transfer window, or he showed up late in the January transfer window, so he didn't really have time to kind of buy any players. But he takes over a side that, was struggling. They were, only a couple points off from the drop, beats a Barcelona, and then, gets to a Copa del Rey final. For Sociedad, this is massive for them. I think they won it a couple years ago when Martin Zubimendi was there. But no, this is massive for the club of Real Sociedad, because this is a massive club in Spain. This is a club that is, trying to get back to where they were a couple of years ago, of getting into the Champions League, into the knockouts of the Champions League, trying to knock off a Barcelona or Real Madrid eventually at some point in La Liga. But if you can make a cup run like this is massive for Real Sociedad, and this just continues to break the wall of Americans trying to make it in the Americans making it in the men's soccer game. I wasn't going to say in the game of soccer because women's side is just so dominant over the years, over the last couple of decades. So that'd be a little injustice to them. But no, this is just continuing to prove our point that we can hang with these guys. And everyone always talks about, the players this, the players have to have this, the players have to have this. Sometimes you got to have a good manager as well. And we've talked about it time and time again on the show, whether we need an American coach to manage our American men's soccer team. I still don't buy that. I really don't, because look at Emma Hayes. She's from England.
The game's the game, man.
It's fine. And at the same time, though, we don't have a good American manager that could manage our men's national team. To be completely honest, we haven't gotten that far yet. And I would hope that, well, I guess maybe Jesse Marsh, but Canada still hasn't done anything. But if I were to see, if we were, because I still think Poch is gone, but if the window happens where we need a coach and Matarazzo needs a coach, I'm calling him 100%, because he's doing what he's doing right now with Real Sociedad is unbelievable. He is a coach that is the first American to bring a team in the top 5 flights in Europe, in the world of soccer, to a final, and this is massive. And he's playing against a favorable opponent, I would say, in Atletico Madrid, because he's not going to get up against the Barcelonas. He's not going up against the Real Madrids. And you know what also he did? He beat his rival, his arch rival, Athletic Club. Well, it's Atletico Bilbao, or Athletic Bilbao, Athletic Club, whatever you want to call it, which is up to you. But they beat their arch rival for this. And for the people who don't know, this is a massive rivalry in the Basque Country in Spain. Just putting it out there. But this is, he does that, gets to a final. And if he lifts this trophy, you bet your ass we're talking about it inside the game. I know a lot of people won't be talking about it, around the American soccer media. But Matarazzo continues to do his thing. We could argue new manager bump. We can argue that, because I've said that about Michael Carrick time and time again. Mm-hmm. But let's see how this whole season plays out. But you know what? Also, at the same time, Michael Carrick's not in a cup final. Matarazzo is. Takes over similar timing, I would say. And you know what? He's in a cup final. And shout out Matarazzo and Real Sociedad for getting there.
The other thing I really like about Pellegrino Matarazzo, too, is he has a very unique story. And he has, I guess you would call it, quote, the American dream story. The truth is that, he came up with Italian immigrant parents, in New Jersey. Grew up there, went to Fairlawn High School, where he was a multi-sport athlete. He played basketball. He played soccer. Obviously, the most success he had was in soccer, obviously. But he was a multi-sport athlete, ended up going to Columbia, graduated from Columbia. He came from humble roots. He came from the demographic of players and coaches and just people in this game that we continue to want to promote, to get more involved with the game, to, not stop them from being able to succeed and being able to get to the next level. Cause he went the high school route. I mean, obviously it was a longer time ago. It was a different time, but very, very humble beginnings, very, very modest, humble beginnings, especially coming up to an Italian immigrant family, which obviously we know life was not easy for Italians in the United States once upon a time. So, it is, it's an inspirational story. And then obviously he goes over, after he graduates from Columbia, goes over to Europe, and that's where kind of his career and everything starts for him. But, he has a great background and a great story, and now he's developed that into being one of the best managers over there, and now has a chance to go win a cup final. If I'm the U.S. men's national team, and if Mauricio Pochettino is gone, and you're right, if there is a window in order to at least inquire about bringing him back to the United States, absolutely I'm taking that opportunity, because I think Pellegrino Matarazzo embodies a lot of what we want to see in soccer, in this sport, in the U.S., which is that coming from humble beginnings, which is the grittiness in the fight, and just the wealth of soccer knowledge that he brings. I just think he has a really, really inspirational story. Obviously, he's a great soccer mind. We know this, but I think that plays into it a lot too. And you love to see that, and that's exactly the type of people that we want to see succeed in this game. And so I just think he could do a lot to build this program if we ever wanted to bring him back. But you're right, Ryan. I think the most important thing to keep in mind is that, I think sometimes people forget that these, particular managers or players are from the U.S. because, they grow up here, maybe they go to high school or whatever, but then they go over there and they learn everything that they know in the international space. Now it's just a matter of somehow combining all of that, the best pieces of what we have over in Europe, whether it be managers or players, and trying to continue to build this thing in the right direction. That the hard thing is that they're scattered to the wind.
Yeah.
And so that's the hard thing sometimes about building that. But no, Pellegrino Matarazzo's background is one that I think U.S. soccer could cling to big time. So I think that's something else to keep in mind.
Yeah, what does the American fan or the American people love the most in terms of sports? That great underdog story. That's why Nate loves Indiana so much. I'm surprised Nate's not a big Nebraska basketball fan this year too. They kind of suck though now. Michigan.
Well, my team's pretty good, so I can't. Yeah, I can't.
Okay. So if Michigan football, if they become good, the Indiana love will go away. A little bit.
It'll probably die off a little bit. Yeah, that's how that works. That's how bandwagons work, Ryan.
But what do American people like what do the American fans like when it comes to sports? That underdog, that grit, that had to overcome this obstacle. That's why they make movies about these damn things. So I think it would be a really good story. I think
he's the example of the player that we talk about that's not going to get recognized. You know, the one that plays in high school. It's like, we're not really looking at those guys. You know, it's not really, you're not playing in one of these leagues. He's one of those guys.
Now, if Matarazzo was from the west side of Michigan, oh boy, you bet Nate, you bet your ass Nate's gonna be like, oh my God, this might be the greatest manager of all time. Who? Pep who?
From Jersey.
Fergie who?
He's from Jersey.
Yeah, from Jersey.
Still Italian,
Jersey
man.
United.
I got
They're
Italian
part of the
blood.
network. They're building up a good thing going on. They get the new women's side this year. Their new coach just got introduced, so shout out to them.
Very nice.
Speaking of
Very
Jersey,
nice.
way to mention Jersey because that gives them a little bit of love to New Jersey United in their upcoming season. But no, it'd be really good for him to come back, and for all the people that hate we needed an American to manage the American team. Look, man, we don't have the resources to do that yet. We don't have the education. We don't have the background to do so yet. We've tried it in 2022. We tried it in 14. We did it in 10. I'm sure we did it in 6 and 2 and whatever. And it doesn't work. So who cares if the manager's American when we suck? So
it was Bruce Arena when we got to the quarterfinal, right? And I don't think Bruce Arena from. Wait, where was Bruce Arena born?
He was born in the United States. I'm pretty sure
he was. Yeah, he was. Okay, yeah, you're right. Wasn't he? Where was?
Bob Bradley was 10.
Oh, he's in New York. New York.
I forgot. Klinsmann was 14. Klinsmann was 14. I forgot about that.
Jurgen Klinsmann. Yeah.
I forgot Klinsmann was 14. And
yeah.
To be honest, that may have been the best World Cup that I've ever seen the U.S. play in up to this point. 2010, no. Actually, 2010 when they won the group, but then they lost to Ghana. But no, the teams that they had to beat in 2014, I thought were the group that they had was unbelievable. Prime Germany that won it all, Portugal, and then you had prime Ghana still that just knocked you out in 2010. And then you battled with Belgium, who was, Romelu Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne, prime Eden Hazard. That team was insane. But
and the reality is that,
just proves my point. You don't need an American manager. But because again, I still think Poch is gone come November. I think after the window, I think Poch is all right, America. I'm looking for jobs, but I want to still be employed. So I'm just going to be here. Maybe we do a couple more windows together. But after that, he could get grouped and just fired on the spot. So there's that. But no, it's just that it doesn't really bother me. But Matarazzo, I'd love for him to be the manager at some point of the U.S. men's national team at some point because I think he's a bright mind. I just don't think he would, take any shits from anybody because the disaster that was the 2025 summer with the Gold Cup, then the disaster of 2024 summer. So all the sidebars, I think Matarazzo would just be like, all right, man, just do what you want to do. You won't be a part of the team anymore. Just constantly talk. So no, I just don't think he'd put up with anything.
Yeah. Well, and he's probably. We talk about the best players that America has produced. He's probably one of the best managers. So, there's so much to like. There's so much to like about his story. There's so much to like about the way he came up and the way he wanted to. And the only question is whether or not he would want to come back and coach the U.S. I feel like it's for the men's team. It's just such a thankless position because if you lose, it's like, well, you're just continuing the trend that we've come to expect. But if you win, all of a sudden, like if Mauricio Pochettino goes on a run in the 26 World Cup, I don't know if the people are going to want him to leave. There might be some pressure put on his shoulder to be like, well, you're the first manager to ever do this with us, so now you can't go.
Yeah,
like,
no.
We're going
I
to need
get
you to
that,
stick
but
around.
at the same
Yeah.
time, I think Pochettino's heart's still in
It's
the
probably
club game
not.
overseas,
Yeah.
and I can't
Yeah.
really fault him or stop a guy that still thinks his heart he can still manage a PSG or a Chelsea or a Man City
Yeah.
because I think a couple jobs are going to be opening up. I think the Manchester United job, I think the City job, Chelsea job will always be up. And to be honest with you, Nate, if Arne Slot continues to suck, the Liverpool job's going to be open. The Real Madrid job might be open if Arbeloa continues to falter over there. Barcelona, Bayern, no. But there's going to be some lucrative job openings this summer, and I think in the middle of next season, just because of the way that some of the big boys have played this year. So I still think he's going to be a hot name come European, the whole go around and everything. I think he is.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about your boys over at Arsenal when we come back from break here on Inside the Game. I know you. Hey, I know you say hope kills, but take it from a Cubs fan. It's okay to hope once in a while. Sometimes it works out for you. But we'll talk more about that on the other side. First, Man City soccer camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, bringing world-class training inspired by Man City's global football philosophy. Players across the United States. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels, these camps focus on technical development, decision-making, and playing the game the City way. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code MCNSN30. Again, that's MCNSN30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you, usacamps.mancity.com. It is a time to believe here on Inside the Game. Welcome back in here on the National Soccer Network. Nate Wangler, Ryan Glinsky. Ryan, I know we talked about yesterday about, sometimes if you set your expectations on the floor, you'll never be disappointed, right? Because anything else above that is considered an improvement. You expected this and you got something better, right? So anything good that happens is over what you were expecting. But in life, you're like, that's not a good way to live, which I agree.
No.
I mean, I agree with you. It's not a good way to live, all right? You're going to put yourself in some bad positions. You're going to take yourself out of some good positions by, being pessimistic all the time. That's fair. But when it comes to your team, it seems to be a different story for you. And there are reasons for that. Now, obviously, there's a history there. But when it comes to Arsenal, you do not trust that they can complete the job at the end of the day.
No, there's nothing for me. There's no example of me to believe that this team can actually do it. I've seen the great bottle job of 2022, 2023. Then we went, I think, 16-1-1 to end a year, and we still finished below Man City. And then last year, I mean, the team just wasn't that good, but we still finished second and fell to a great Liverpool side. And And yesterday, as I was getting ready to do the Ben Pierman interview, was when everything was in the waning moments of the Arsenal Brighton game and Man City Nottingham Forest game, and I was like freaking out. And then Ben shows up. I'm like, "Oh, Coach Pierman, what's going on?"
Hey,
What's going on? He's like, "Oh, you all right? Like, still good time?" I'm like, "Coach, it's fine. I'm just watching an Arsenal game, man, and my team." But yesterday, just Nate, there is something about midweek night games in the Premier League away from home. It's almost like when Michigan would go play Indiana before Kurt Signetti. Like, Michigan could be number 2 in the country undefeated. Indiana could have not won a game all year, but you know, for some weird reason, it's going to be a dogfight into the fourth quarter. Like, you just know it's going to be close.
Yeah.
Never understood why, but you always just kind of knew, like, Michigan's going to be in a dogfight. You think of the overtime game with Jake Rudock, the 2016 game where it was in the snow. That was still a close game until the very end. Shea Patterson, like, there's always close games. It always was, even with Brady Hoke and Rich Rod. There were always close games, but you just knew that they would kind of, just get over the hump. But in the Premier League away from home midweek night games, I can't explain it. Like, it just feels like you're going to lose at some point. In a game yesterday where the goal Arsenal scored was just trash. I think, Nate, you could have saved it. And then just like, it was just an ugly game. It was just ugly. Everything about it was just ugly. And they come away with 3 points. And then, which, again, I'm never going to, well, sorry, Europe. Sorry, the Premier League. Arsenal only won because they didn't play pretty. This and that. I do have some words to say after you get your words in and my first takes in. Do got something to say about this. Make sure you clip it later because people get mad when I say stuff like this.
I mean, yeah, it gets scary when you think about Man City just being 2 points away if they end up winning. So I mean, they're closing the gap. But anyways, go ahead. Continue.
And now, again, City still has a game in hand, so I still think the lead is 4 points compared to this 7 right now. Which, shout out Arsenal, 67 points, currently right now. But but no. And then the Man City thing happened simultaneously, where a Nottingham Forest clear player, the goalie's way out of position. All they got to do is tap it in. Somehow, some way, a Nottingham Forest player blocks the ball with his ass and then clears it off the line. Like, simultaneously as Arsenal wins. And I'm sitting there, like, watching it after Pierman, and I watch what just happened, and I go, is this real? Like, could we actually do this? Like, because Man City's supposed to win that game that way. They are. That's just, like, the way that the club is, like, mentally and how they win things. Like, they always win stuff, and they always snatch stuff at the time. But then I sat there yesterday, and, like, the whole Oakland game, I'm sitting there, I'm like, we might have a shot to win it all. Like, we might win this thing. But then at the same time, I'm like, man, we're going to, like, blow it the next game. Like, we're going to lose. Like, it's a guarantee that we lose the next game. But to think with 8 games to go, and to think with the Carabao Cup on March 22nd, which if we win that, because there's only going to be one Premier League game played in between now and then, if we win that against City, I think we win the league. And, like, it's the hope that kills. But yesterday, I'm like, dude, we might be able to do this thing. Like, it's starting to, like, the belief is starting to creep in right now, and I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it, Nate, if I'm being completely honest. I do not want this belief to start creeping into my head. Luckily, we don't have to play in the Premier League until next Saturday, so I got a stress-free weekend. If they lose in the FA Cup, I could care less at this point. We got Champions League next week, and I still think they're in midweek. I think we take care of Leverkusen. But, like, Nate, I don't like this. I don't. Like, I don't like that this belief is starting to creep into my head, because I've had this before. I thought in 23 we might win this whole thing, and then we had the great bottle job. But then I thought, man, we've won 16 out of our last 18 games. We should win the league off of that. No, you're still going to finish 2 points below. But, like, Nate, I'm not okay with this, man. I'm not, because it's starting to creep in, and I'm starting to actually believe this.
I know that we're into our all sports section of the podcast, which, soccer is considered a sport. Obviously, it's all sports, so this makes sense. But I'm gonna make an American comparison to a different sport. It's like Cubs fans in 2016. You get to a certain point of the year to where it's kind of like you talking about Arsenal, where you're like, there's a very realistic chance that we could do this. Like not like joking, not like, an outside chance. Like there's a very realistic chance that we could go do this, but you still don't want to say it out loud. No one wants to say it out loud.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
where I'm
get
at.
into the
I don't want to
playoffs.
say we're going to win it.
You don't want to say it out loud. You're like, okay, you win a few more games. All right, we win this playoff series. Okay, I mean, it could, it might, 100 plus years. You never know. And so until it got to Game 7, once it got to Game 7, which they were down 3-1 against Cleveland. So I even thought that the series was over at that point, but they're able to climb all the way back to 7. Only then and only then was I like, holy shit, okay, like we're good. We're a good 9 innings or 9 innings plus in that situation away from winning the first World Series in a rain delay and all that other stuff, away from winning the World Series for the first time in 100 plus years. So that to just draw a comparison to obviously a team that I grew up watching and a fan of, and obviously my dad was huge Chicago Cubs fan. Nothing else Chicago, but the Cubs obviously just there's a certain level of romance when it comes to North Chicago. Yeah, no, he's not. But that was the comparison there. Like no one wanted to say anything about it. Oh boy. Oh, there goes my mic. No one wanted to say anything about it. It would have been real bad. No one wanted to say anything. The only people that were even thinking about saying things or saying, oh, we're going to win it all were the people who were like, again, jumping on bandwagons who hadn't watched the Cubs their whole life, but then they just magically became Cubs fans at the end. I would say the same thing about the Lions. I mean, like fair. we saw that commercial preview before their playoff loss. I forget which year it was. It might have been the 49ers game, but they aired that commercial or that preview before the game of Lions fans being like, yeah, I never thought we would be the best team, but here we are. And I'm like, we're not even in the Super Bowl yet. What do you mean? Like, we still have to win 2 more games. I never thought we'd be the best team, but here we are. It's like, oh, please stop talking.
Lions fans are annoying. I'm not going to lie. Lions fans suck.
They are annoying as hell. And then what do? They choke away the second half. It's like, Oh, my Lord in heaven. That's what you get. That's what you get for talking before you win the Super Bowl. That's what you get. I didn't remember Cubs fans running around parading that, hey, we're the best team in baseball now. No, we're not until we win a World Series. So for Arsenal fans, yeah, I can relate because you don't want to say it out loud. You just don't want to say it. You're like, in the back of your head, you're like, yeah, there's an outside chance we do this. It's real. It's there. But shit, I ain't saying anything because the minute that I say something, it's all going to come crumbling down and I'll never forgive myself. So no, I know that this internal battle that's going on in your head right now.
Yeah, it's not okay. It's not going to be good for my mental health until May. Like, and then what also is on top of this, Nate? I got Michigan basketball who's legit at the same time. Like, this is not okay for my mental health. I really need the Tiger season to get going here. So like, the World Cup's fine because like I have no expectation of the U.S. winning it all. I have no expectation of the Tigers winning the World Series. I need to get to that point where it's like, whew, no expectations if we lose, and I don't feel butthurt. But now it's like I'm reaching like peak. It's going to be a mental breakdown because of stupid sports, like Michigan tournament. Like, this is the best shot I think I've ever seen of a Michigan team, try to win a national championship because back in 2013, I didn't think they were winning a national championship based on the way that they were playing. 18, I didn't think so. I just thought, make a Final Four. That'd be cool. That was it. They get ran out of the gym by Villanova and Dante DiVincenzo. And then even 2021, I'm like, the team's not that good. And then Livers goes down. I'm like, yeah, this team's not winning anything. So I was okay with, like, the loss if it happened.
Yeah.
Like, obviously you want them to win. But, like, with these two teams, Nate, it's not okay. It's not okay. And then
it's almost better when all your teams suck. I'm not saying it's better,
like
but it's
the Tens.
less.
I could just watch. All I knew is my Super Bowl was the draft, and that's all I cared about. That's all that mattered. Like, Nate, I'm telling you, I was talking with my cousin about this. I think last summer, or like last. Yeah, no, it was last summer, and we're sitting there and we were like just talking about football and everything, and I go, I couldn't tell you the last time I looked at an NFL mock draft. Like, I couldn't, like, even when they went 9-8, I didn't really care to look for a mock draft because I'm like, the standard it's set now. Like, like the foundation set. We can go and do stuff. And then after
Yeah.
the NFC Championship game, could care less to look at a mock draft. I look at 15-2. Couldn't care less to look at a mock draft. And then this year, like now I'm looking at them. But like there was a moment in time where I didn't watch, like for 3 years, I didn't look at a mock draft. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
Like our teams were
Yeah.
that trash. Now with the Pistons, after Asar, I haven't looked at a mock draft ever since that with the Pistons.
Mhm.
The Red Wings, I've never really looked at them because I don't know who these players are, and I'll never see them for 3 years or so. And the Tigers, again, same thing. I haven't seen them, so I haven't looked at mock drafts. But like when the team sucks, I feel better about myself because like I have no expectation. But when the team's good, Nate, it's not okay. And then this is the other thing I want to get into real quick.
Yeah.
This is about the whole stupid narrative about the whole thing.
Mm.
For the people out there that are pissed off about the way Arsenal plays, I don't care. Also, the club doesn't care. The manager yesterday at Brighton, I can't pronounce his name properly. It was like there was only one team that was out there playing football. So Nate, I want to paint a picture for you. In 2014, 2013, that time Arsenal was playing. Their football was like this, beautiful,
Chef's kiss.
unbelievable. But you know what happened? They lacked physicality and grit, so they'd lose games all the time. But for 80 minutes, it just looked like it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But we never won anything. We won an FA Cup and a Community Shield a couple of times. Like, yeah, sure, it's a trophy, but, you know, it's not the big one because we never, once it became like January in the Prem, we were always in the conversation, but then we would lose because we didn't have that grit that everyone talks about. And then we just weren't good and didn't have any grit at all. And then all of a sudden, 2023 comes around and it was chef's kiss all over the place. But you know what? We lacked grit again, and we get blown out by Man City. Then all of a sudden, everyone's like, you know what? Let's have some grit. Let's bring in some real big bruisers to the team. Let's bring in a Declan Rice. Let's bring in a Saliba and a Gabriel. Let's bring in Timber. Let's bring in these types of guys. Let's bring in a Mikel Moreno. Let's bring in David Raya. Let's bring in these studs. And then all of a sudden, people are out here like, well, Arsenal doesn't play a pretty brand of football, and it's just physical. It's just, how can you out-tough someone? So which way do you want it with this Arsenal team? Do you want them to play bad? Do you want them to play bad but be physical but win? But then you want them to, then when they are losing but they play the brand is so good but you lack physicality, it's like with this damn team, I don't understand the media how whatever they do, there's always a knock at it. Oh, they played this way, but they won, but you didn't do this. You didn't do this. You lost because you didn't do the exact reason why you won the game before, but we knocked at you for the game for the way that you were playing. It makes no sense. How can you win games, but they didn't play a pretty brand? They aren't actually playing football. They're actually just time wasting. But then when they lose games, it's they weren't physical enough. They didn't do this. Well, you just knocked on them for being too physical. Then you're knocking on them for being not physical enough, but they lost. But I don't see this with any other club. There is not a single club in this world that gets this amount of treatment. It makes zero sense. Like, we've got Paul Scholes talking about, well, they're on pace for 84 points. No champion should be crowned this year. Paul, let me tell you something. Your Manchester United teams, that's the average they had when they were winning titles, 84 points. So are we just going to strip your titles away, Paul? We're going to strip all of your titles away? Because it was 84 points. It wasn't 100 points like Man City had back in the day. Well, let me tell you something. Because the way the game's officiated and the way Arsenal's had a past of they're not physical enough, they've learned from 2023 that we've got to be physical in order to win something. Let me tell you something. They got to be physical because if they're not, they're going to get blown out, and then all of a sudden we're going to have a conversation back in May in the summer of, well, they weren't physical enough because they didn't win the league and they allowed Man City to do this. So what way does everybody want it? They want to win a league, so they're going to be physical enough, and they're doing everything that you need to do. But when they win, it's like it's always a knock. Why not just maybe just say yesterday, everybody, in Sky Sports and NBC and everything, maybe just say, that's a sign of champions right there. You played poorly, but you still won. You're not going to excuse that. But when Man City does it, it's, wow, they're so tough. It's just, they're such a sign of champions. But when Arsenal does it, it's, they just didn't play pretty enough. Like, this is what the game's becoming. They shouldn't be champion. What way does everybody want it? Is everybody... Nate, this is my conclusion. This is honestly my conclusion. Because Arsenal fans suck. I'm not going to lie. Arsenal fans are the worst, too. I think everybody is scared that Arsenal's going to win the Premier League. Everyone is scared. They don't want to say anything. They don't want to say it yet. but they're all scared that we're going to constantly move the goalpost back. We're going to constantly not get everything to do because of one thing. Arsenal is such a massive brand. It's such a big club. There's so many celebrities that like them. There's so many influential people in the world that love this club. There's people in the media and in the political scene that love this club. The guy that runs damn Spotify loves this club. Piers Morgan, massive media, influential political person, whatever, loves this club. So the moment that Arsenal wins this club, and Arsenal fans suck too, I won't lie, because the moment we win it, we're telling everybody about it because we've heard it for 20 plus years. We heard about how we're not tough. We heard about how we bottle things. We heard about how we're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. We heard it all. So I think everyone in the media is trying to gang up on Arsenal and be like, this can't happen, because the moment they win something of significance, whether that's a Champions League or whether that's a Premier League, I think the world ends. We talked about the men's national team winning the World Cup. The world ends. I think the world ends if this happens. Because they are too scared to admit that this team is actually good and there's world-class players all over the place. But because they don't play a certain way, they're not. Because they are too scared to admit that this team is actually good and they might win something, in all the memes of the last 20 years that go out the door. So thank you. That is my TED Talk.
Hey, well
I'm sorry,
done.
Nina.
No,
I went for a while there.
No, it's okay. And I've seen a lot. I don't think there's a single team that the media.
It's okay. Carry the last 24 minutes here.
Hasn't tried to discredit, because they always try to discredit.
Pause,
I
by
feel
the
like
way.
Arsenal in a lot of ways. No, it's okay. Hey, man, I get it. You know, I mean, we're just yelling at each other. Well, not at each other, but we're yelling at the world back and forth for 2 hours.
Nate
so
was probably like,
tend
man,
to
this guy's
happen,
an idiot. I can sit back for a little bit until he puts me back on screen.
No, you're good. I mean, yeah, I've never seen a team that the media tries to discredit more than Arsenal. But I think the thing that bothers them is that effective is rarely pretty. Yeah, they can exist, they can coexist, but there's a difference between being effective and being pretty. And Arsenal found out a way to be effective that wins them games. And so if the ball goes in the goal more than the other team, you end up winning the game, And if it's within the rules, I don't really understand why it is that people look at it that way. Yeah, I mean, it's not pretty, but it's effective. And so, you know, I definitely heard everything that you said, and you're right. I think, you know, it almost kind of, it resembles, you know, like Michigan winning a national championship. As much as I am a Michigan fan, I can also sit back and recognize that the fan base can be a little obnoxious at times. And of course they're not, you know, we're not the only ones that exist in it, but it is true. You know, it is true. I mean, it has like a Cowboys kind of feel to it, or, you know, I mean, you think about any of the LA teams, you know, I mean, if LA teams did not win championships consistently, and it had been 20 years since they've done so. So anyways, or the Yankees, I think might be a good example, but no, I can completely see that. But I mean, if it's effective, it's effective. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day. But coming up next, we're going to get a little bit into the Horizon League tournament, start of the Horizon League tournament. Some of the turnarounds have been ferocious in the Horizon League. We were actually talking a little bit about that before coming into the show. Oakland obviously fell to Northern Kentucky yesterday, and our very own Ryan Glinsky, who is the social media extraordinaire, always has the camera out. He got I forget whose goal it was remember when you went to the U.S. men's national team game? No. I was going back to the soccer
Zendejas.
game. That Zendejas. He got Zendejas's goal up close and personal, because they were right. You guys looked like you were right in the middle of the supporter section.
We were 3 rows up, I believe. We were in the middle of the supporter section, yeah.
Yeah, so that's crazy. So he got that one, and then last night he got a couple of sick videos too. A couple of deep threes, I think, for Brody Robinson, but more importantly, Buru had a dunk that I think it's ironic. We talked about, would you rather meet the love of your life or know how to slam dunk? And then we saw one of the coolest dunks ever yesterday, and I was like, that one there.
And then I went with my phone because you guys were on air, and I was like, I would do that. I would love to do that instead of finding.
I would love to do that, man. So we're gonna talk about that coming up next.
That's great.
And then, I don't know, maybe some Red Wing talk if we have enough time at the end. And, of course, we got question of the day. But all that's coming up next right here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Back in live on Inside the Game, here episode 243, penultimate episode of this week here on ITG. Nate Wangler, Ryan Glinsky, getting into what happened yesterday. Again, I was down in Metro Detroit at the Oakland v. Northern Kentucky opening round of the Horizon League tournament. Oakland ended up falling in that one by one. I guess the third time they had faced off against this team this year and just couldn't get it going. Of course, until the final, 2 minutes or so, which obviously we heard Greg Campy talk about. That's kind of where these games go. If you wanted to, you realistically could just put 2 minutes up on the clock and say go, because that's just kind of how these games end up shaping out. And obviously Brody Robinson was unconscious yesterday. 36 points, 10 threes in that game. I mean, just unbelievable, his shooting performance. But we were all together, and you got some good video from that game, though. Couple of different videos. Did you put that one in the show today?
Yeah, here's the dunk. This was so sick.
This was sick.
Off the lob, off the inbound. Just
Oof.
I can probably slow it down.
I mean, just look at the elevation. I think his chin is above the rim. I mean, it looks like his head's above the rim for a second there, but yeah. So it's off the inbound here. Now, mind you, so it's 81-72. This is inside of a minute. I don't know if you can see the amount of time on the clock there. This is inside of a minute, and Oakland was able to cut it down to a one-possession game. But, yeah, this is off the inbound. I mean, come on, man. Love your life or do that. I mean.
I think I'm doing that every time. I really think I'm doing that. Like, that's insane, man.
It is insane. Hey, who's getting up there to challenge them? Nobody. Look, they're all just watching. Like, oh, sick. Okay. Ain't going to happen. I mean, if you want to get in the way, feel free to get in the way, man. But that's you punch that thing. So anyways, I mean, that's one way of doing it. But obviously Buru, third team All Horizon League. I still can't get his complete name down.
Just call him Buru, man. That's all you gotta do.
I guess that works. But that was a sick play.
This guy's pretty easy. Brody Robinson. I think the dunk is in this one as well. That was like the buzzer beater. You can hear JT in the background, no foul. And just banks it in. That was the dunk again. But, I mean, look at where this guy was pulling up. I think this one is logo 3, dude. Like, this guy just was letting it rip. Like, this guy was just on a different level all night long. Like you mentioned, 10 threes, and he's only 5'10". I think my favorite play, though, yesterday was when he stole the ball, not directly off the inbound from the baseline, but, like, he threw it into the corner and he stole it and he got fouled. He missed the layup and I think he fouled somebody because there was like a 5-point opportunity. Not because of that layup, but there was another wide open three where it was like, dude, if he knocks down that three, that wide open three, and he makes that layup, it's a totally different game.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's so there's another one. I mean, that was one of his. That's an NBA range. That's beyond NBA range. And it's interesting when, like, point guards, a lot of them, you can score, sure, but I feel like most coaches, if my point guard has to be a distributor, like, he has to be a guy that can see the floor, he can move the ball, he can do all of those things, because everything revolves around your point guard. But when you can get a point guard who can go out and create his own opportunities and create his own scoring chances, that opens up the rest of the floor. I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit. Now, obviously, Brody Robinson is not nearly the size or the skill set as one of, Cade Cunningham. But the way that Cunningham plays the game.
7 or 8 inches different between the two.
But, But the way Cade plays the
game.
He's
probably 5'9". Just saying.
Yeah. But, Cade is so elite at scoring. Maybe not the most elite shooter in the world, but
No.
he's great at generating his opportunities. That opens up everybody else on the floor. And so that was the thing about Oakland. But in those final 2 minutes, they were just like, hey, just find Brody Robinson, just hand it off to him and just let him go to work. And obviously a disappointing end for Greg Kampe in Oakland, but what a wild year all around in the Horizon League. I mean, like we talked about with Doug Gottlieb in Green Bay, I mean, to go from 4 wins a year ago to where they are now, and obviously with him being as entertaining and as crazy as he is. Yeah, exactly. And then Detroit Mercy too. And I got to talk with Dan Hasty, my broadcast partner with the Whitecaps yesterday, who does their games on TV, him and Jeremy Otto, which I know we talked about maybe getting Otto on here for a little bit to chat, or we could get Dan on here to chat. I'd be open with that too. But
yeah, whatever one.
UDM has, I mean, there was they won, I think it was 1 game a couple of years ago when,
and then you had,
then
you had the one guy who was like on verge of breaking the all-time NCAA record, like
yes,
in the same,
I'm
like that was not the 1 win
blanking
season,
on
but
his
like,
name right now.
I think his last name was Davis. I think he was like the Suns kid, the son of the coach.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Now I remember. Yep. Yeah. Which I think he just came up short of setting that record because it was Pistol Pete Maravich's obviously
Antoine
record.
Davis, 3,664
that's what it
points.
was.
Pete Maravich.
Yep.
That's got to be annoying. 3 points was the way of tying Pistol Pete. Wow.
Yep. There's actually a video right at the end. He's like trying his hardest because it was at the end of the regular season. It was the very last game of the regular season. So UDM's like, we're not going anywhere to do anything. So he needs to do this now. Either that or we need to find some sort of invitational tournament somewhere.
Yeah.
To try to get him
in
the record.
The Vegas thing, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Some whatever tournament wherever. But yeah, man, just came up short, and there's a video of him like trying to fight up threes at the very end just to try and break it. But didn't end up doing it. So it's crazy. I know he has the Michigan record, so he has the most points ever scored by a college basketball player in Michigan. I only know that because the school that I work at,
he's second at the same time. So.
Who's second?
Well, he's second, and Antoine Davis is second of all time in scoring. I would hope he's.
Oh no, that's I mean, but he surpassed the last one, which actually, ironically enough, goes to Cornerstone University, or did go to Cornerstone University. So I thought that was funny, Kyle Steginga.
Yeah.
But anyways,
yeah, just back at the Oakland game real quick. It just felt like yesterday, Northern Kentucky just threw a whole bunch of different stuff defensively at Oakland and couldn't really get anything going. I mean, outside of Brody Robinson and IG, there really wasn't anything going. And then obviously Gilbert fouls out, or Garrett. Yeah, Gilbert. Fouls out with
Isaac Garrett.
I thought it was Gilbert. Garrett, my bad. IG.
Yeah, Garrett.
Isaac Garrett was like 5 minutes left or something like that, 4 minutes, something like that. He fouls out. But it just, they never seemed in the game. Like, Oakland always felt like they were always catching up, and whenever it'd get close, they just couldn't just get over the top and try to get that last victory. But I just give Northern Kentucky a lot of credit, dude. They threw a lot of different stuff defensively, whether it was a matchup zone, a 2-3, or then they'd go full court, and then which really messed Oakland up at certain times. They went full court. Yeah. They went 2-3. They went like it never went a 1-3-1, but it was like it was matchup zone at certain times, and then they went face guard Brody Robinson with a bigger defender. So give Northern Kentucky a ton of credit. They got the victory, and Oakland the only home team to lose yesterday. U of D Wright State won by 30. Robert Morris, who my boss at CMU absolutely hates, won by 15, and then U of D won by I think 21 points there, and then Oakland falls by 1. So it'll be it'll be good to see where how everything goes. Now you got Wright State they actually got to play first. So Green Bay plays Northern Kentucky first, and then that's weird how that works. Okay, it's interesting how that works. Okay,
yeah, it's the truth is, and I know that they're going to place the blame on me simply because that was my first game at Oakland this year. So, of course, my first game would be that one. And Neil Rule has already gotten into my chest a little bit on that one. Of course, he was just messing around with me, but it's just funny because that was my first game and they ended up falling. But, Greg Kampe, you just needs more shooters, man. And I think that's, he talked about it, in their the last stretch of the regular season going into the postseason tournament. Yet, they were losing more, but it wasn't because they were playing bad. They just had certain elements of their game that were missing. And I think the element yesterday was they just simply didn't have any other actual good scoring options. Isaac Garrett was good. Yeah, I mean, he was into double digits, and they had a couple of other players who hit 10, but Brody Robinson was the only one who could hit shots. And so you need to get a few more shooters on that team in order to give yourself a chance, because if pace and space is your game, transition threes can really change the game. And I think even for Northern Kentucky, who wasn't a good three-point shooting team, they just made more than what Oakland did. But still, to fight that back to just a 2-point game with 4.2 to go, I mean, if the other of the Robinsons, if Cale Robinson misses one free throw, I mean, you have a chance to tie it and go to overtime, or if he misses both, maybe you win it. So a gritty team, a gritty fight. But yeah, Darren Horn's a good basketball coach. I think he manufactured that win for Northern Kentucky. And just, when you're a team like they are, when you're not traditionally a good shooting team, when you're just kind of a gritty group of guys who can go out and win, you just have to make it messy. And I think they've made it messy against Oakland on the defensive side. They just really kept throwing everything, including the kitchen sink. And I said that on the broadcast. I'm like, they are literally throwing everything in their tool set at Oakland right now, whatever it looks like they're doing it, because it's doing enough at the very least to just throw them off and make them uncomfortable. And it certainly did.
Yeah, no, they give them a lot of credit. I don't know how they would fare up against, the bigger teams, obviously, but no, it was just overall good game. And you think of Greg Campy. He's had a rough go in the Horizon League tournament over the years. I know he's won a couple, most notably back in with Jack Golke, which that poor PA announcer probably had to say 1, 2, 3 like 30 times a game. But that Oakland team was actually really good. You think of Golke, and then you have Rocket Watts was on there. You had Trey Townsend, and then you had the short little white point guard, number 11. I forgot his name, but that Oakland team was really good, and obviously very upset good. Kentucky. But man, I just feel bad for Greg Campy a little bit, because he's been there for so long, but just he's got the one tournament win, obviously, and you think of a mid-major, not many programs have a tournament win at all, but he's been so close so many times of just getting to the tournament. I remember watching during COVID his team just blow a game to get to the Horizon League tournament, or to get to the NCAA tournament from the Horizon League tournament.
Let's get into question of the day.
Question of the day brought to you by Salt Athletic, an official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network. And the question of the day, use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off of that number one smell-proof cleat bag. That 100% works. I was actually walking by yesterday as I was leaving, and there was actually a kid with the number one smell-proof cleat bag that works. So I thought that was kind of cool. Scan the QR code on your screen or visit saltathletic.com today. But question of the day, I just made a video about this during the break. What do you think of Ted Lasso actor Cristo Fernandez trying out for USL teams?
Hey man, it's never too late to get back into playing sports. I've even thought about it myself. I mean, there's plenty of adult leagues. There's plenty of stuff going on around your community. You can definitely get involved in sports in one way or the other. I miss team sports a lot. And so, even in my position as a broadcaster, it's just the time itself doesn't allow me to do those things, which I think is the most frustrating thing, because I'm always on the mic. I'm always the one talking. I'm always the one broadcasting, or, bringing the game to you. I'm not the one playing in the game, but I miss the competition component of it. And so I love the stories of, guys going back to college who still have eligibility, who play college football, who are like 35 years old, or maybe, wasn't there a U.S. veteran that played at Nebraska recently? He was like a special team specialist, if you have a chance to go out and compete, man. And it's mostly because I know that he has a very successful career and he has a lot of money and all these other things, but nothing beats, number one, being physically exerted, but number two, competing. I think that's something that for me is kind of missing in my life a little bit. I love the adrenaline rush of going out and competing. And, of course, I played more of the impact sports, like rugby and football and stuff. But even for me, I even tell people, tackling someone's fun, but even getting hit is fun. Makes you feel alive. You know what I mean? So I'm sure getting slide tackled.
I'm sure your body will disagree the next day.
Yeah, but at least it made you feel like you did something. So there's no such thing as too old, in my opinion, to get back into athletics and to just go out and compete in a team sport. Because I just think it's fun, man. I think it's cool.
Yeah, the only thing I hope, because he tried out for Chicago Fire too, this winter, and scrimmaged a couple times, and he's on trial right now with El Paso Locomotive, with USL Championship side, and I guess there's a decision coming up this weekend on whether he makes the team or not. I just would say, I just hope this doesn't become like, well, we need a little extra publicity by having Danny Rojas, football is life, on the team. I just hope it doesn't become that. It's if he can play, he can play.
Yeah, it could. Yep.
If he can play, he can play. He's 35 years old right now, so I don't know how long he can go. He played 30 minutes in a preseason game, I guess, recently. I guess when he was younger in Mexico, he had a really bad knee injury, and that's what kind of stopped him and made him pursue acting a little bit. But, maybe, I don't know how this, how he got to where, or how, he got to trial, whatever. But all I hope is this is not just because, well, he's famous and, USL Championship needs it and all that fun stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. I'd be rooting for the guy just because, like, Danny Rojas, man, football is life. Football is life. So, yes, I really hope, that isn't the reason. If he's good enough, I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it because I love me some Danny Rojas. So shout out to Crystal Fernandez for even, giving it a go at the age of 35, because a lot of people, after they hang it up, And he's not one of them because, he was always in shape. I mean, based on the show, he was one of the players that actually has played soccer at some point in his life, unlike a couple others that, didn't play soccer. They were there for just the acting purposes. So shout out Danny Rojas, a.k.a. Cristo Fernandez, because I'm always going to call, because if he plays in a game, someone's going to be like, Rojas! So.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, for the USL teams, I mean, it's a great opportunity for PR. I mean, so you're right. It could turn into something like that. Which is, obviously it kind of reminds me of when Will Ferrell, and I don't know if you knew this, but Will Ferrell in one of the spring training games, obviously this is a different story. Will Ferrell is much older, much further down the line. But I remember when he played outfield for the Cubs in one of their spring training games for like a half inning or whatever it was. It's just like one of those, like, clubs will take, or franchises or whatever, will take an opportunity to, if they know that they're going to get people out to the game, even just to, imagine autographs, imagine anything, just getting to meet the guy. I mean, if you're a fan of the show, which I know in America, the show is huge, it could certainly bring a lot of attention to your club. So I guess it's figuring out what's your priority as a club. Because, I don't know if he's necessarily going to drag the play down, but, from his side of things, yeah, man. I mean, if you have a chance to go out and compete and go out and play and go out and do those things, and yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if it means you have to kind of step back from what has already made you successful, you do it. So
yeah, I don't
know how it works out for him, but
I just hope the show coming back for another season is just so stupid. Let the thing die. Just let everyone love it. It's perfect the way it is, and then they're gonna ruin it because money, and everyone just has to have it.
Yeah, that's
even though
true.
Just let the good product go, and everyone will remember it.
Yep. But that'll wrap up episode 243. Again, a big thanks to everyone joining us each and every single day here on Inside the Game. We were tired, but we made it work. It was a long day yesterday, but we are back, and we are happy to be back again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Final show of the week. And until we talk to you guys then, this has been 243 on Inside the Game.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wenger bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer.